Hello, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the podcast-only version of the TJ Ritchie Show. I'm your host, TJ, the realist Ritchie. Only doing podcasts today because I was rudely interrupted once again on the radio on WBT by some sort of ball game. Now, I say some sort of ball game like I don't know anything about sports. I'm a sports lover. Baseball, football, those are the sports I love. The rest of them I can take or leave pretty much. But it's still rude to take me off the air to put on some ball game. I don't care who's playing. So I got to bring you the issues of the day, because what would you do without my commentary? You would suffer greatly. Okay. So let's get started. And another thing, I got to give a disclaimer because I don't have the equipment that I have when I'm doing the radio show. There's nobody producing or any of that kind of stuff. So I may be a little clumsy with pulling up the sound clips and all that I play during the show. Okay. So last night I started off the show with a big plea for all Americans of all races to pull together to protect the takeover of our country from these foreign people who are trying to push us out and do away with the American way. You know, turn the country into a Muslim country. And it is, it's getting dire. I think we're to the point where we have to put down our differences as Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, and all of that stuff. But as Americans, if we want to continue living freely in this country, we're going to have to stand up against this, because the country was not founded to be turned over to extremists from a religion that wants to take away our freedom and force us to worship the way they do or be killed. Let's face it, that's what goes on in these other countries. So we need to fight against that. Now, we can see the evidence of what is going on in other countries like Great Britain and Germany and all these European countries that have just opened their gates to all of these foreigners who don't come from the same culture. They don't have anything in common with the culture of the European countries, and they're not made to assimilate. You know, when people say, why are you so upset? The country was built on immigration. Why are you anti-immigrant? I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm anti-illegal alien, and I'm not assimilating into the American culture. That's the difference. Our ancestors came over from all parts of the world, and when they got here, they went to work. They built the country. They built what has become the greatest country on the face of the earth in all of history and all of mankind, the most prosperous and freest nation ever. They didn't come over here and get on the welfare. They didn't come over here and say, okay, well, you know, we belong to this religion and this is our culture, so we're gonna make sure everybody does what we do. No, they came over here because they were looking for freedom, and they loved where they were enough to build it and protect it. Not the case today. You don't come to the United States demanding that everybody conform to your culture and your faith. It doesn't work that way. But that's what they've done in Europe and a lot of these countries. They've just take it, because they do the, you know, these are Marxist in these other countries, and they prey upon people's guilt. And they say, if you speak up against this, then, you know, you're a racist. You know, and that works well in America. You know, they do that. They've been doing it for years in America. So the people of Great Britain, the people, not the government officials, have begun to see how bad it is and what they're at risk of losing It may be too late for them. It's not too late for us. But they're speaking up now. Like, this is a man on the street that they just, they're interviewing passersby. And this is what he has to say. Now, this warning, since I don't have producers, I don't know how to bleep stuff. I don't know how to edit out cuss words. He says one cuss word in here, but I think you'll be okay. All right, here we go.
That's what it seems like. It seems like racist equals white, because no black man can be racist to me. If I criticise a Jew, I'm an anti-Semite. If I criticise an Islamic, I'm an Islamophobe. What are you if you criticise me? What are you if you try and replace me? What are you if you try and tell me I'm wrong for wanting to protect my children? Apparently, you're a perfectly reasonable person, but I'm a racist for wanting to protect my future. No, bullshit. I don't accept the 14 words as a thing. I think it's ridiculous that anyone could even say that they own this concept, as every human thinks this thing. Black people go on and on and on about black. Asians, like Indians, will tell you that India is the best at this. This is Indian, that's Indian, everything's brilliant that is Indian. Good for you. You love your people. I'm glad for you. I love mine. But don't call me I'm a racist just because you don't like the word white. If you don't like the word white, maybe you shouldn't live in a white country. Like, really, if you don't like white people, go away. White people live here.
Okay. Makes sense, right? They're even in Great Britain and in Germany, they get thrown in jail for things that they say that are determined to be hate speech or racist speech. So it's even gotten to that point over there. And, they're just now starting to realize it, how bad it is. And like I said, it may be too late for them because it's out of control. Okay, so that's a guy who's aggravated. He's upset. He's mad. All right. Well, this is someone who is absolutely desperate and afraid and sad. This is a call-in show on British TV, kind of like our C-SPAN would be. And listen to this poor woman.
Oh, I live in the borough right next to Hillingdon.
Yep.
And so I moved into my house in 2019. My local shop, there's been 3 stabbings, 1 murder since then.
Wow.
My friend was murdered last year up on the high street. Girl I know was murdered in Southall Park. The government are failing us. I'm so scared for my children. I have a 22-year-old son, and I'm begging him to move out of the country.
Oh my goodness, I feel for you.
What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting our children in so much danger. They're putting everyone in danger, and they're not doing nothing to help us.
And that's the thing a lot of us feel. How many is too many?
They're pushing us to do something that we don't want to do. We are peaceful people. British people never revolt against their government.
Yeah.
They're going to push us to it because they're not listening to us. Our friends, our family are dying. I had a cousin murdered 20 years ago who was stabbed to death, and nothing's changed, Julia.
I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm sure I speak for everyone listening and watching right now. My heart goes out to you, and that's the reality.
I don't leave the house without a man.
You're that worried.
Well, everyone I know is getting stabbed. They're getting raped in parks. This is where I live, not where the politicians live.
Do you think that's part of the issue, that they don't live in the real world?
Keir Starmer, if you're listening to this, please do something. I'm petrified. I've never broken the law in my life. I've been a law-abiding citizen. I've been a civil servant. Please do something. It's us that are dying on the streets. You talk about being racist. We're not racist. My sister's mixed race. I was a white child brought up in a mixed race family. Nothing to do with race.
Exactly.
To do with our safety.
Sarah, I mean, 100%. We agree with you every single word, and I'm so sorry. I'm sending you a big hug over the ether, and I'm sure everyone else is.
It's heartbreaking. This poor woman thought she was living in a free country. But if you can't go to a store, you can't go outside, you're afraid to go outside because you're surrounded by, your entire area has been taken over by uncivilized people from the third world who don't share your values, who don't share your culture, and they have no desire in the least to accept your culture. And you've got a welfare state. You can't have a country that way. You can't have a free country. And this is where the Islamists and communists cross and intersect. Because communists want complete and total disarray, then complete and total power. So does the Islamist. Sharia law. We control everything. You worship as we say, or you die, or you're beaten, or whatever. Now, she did something there at the end that we have to stop doing. And that is, she went into this explanation of how she's not racist. We don't have to do that. These accusations of people being racist because they're standing up for themselves is a weapon that the Marxists have chosen to use, a weapon that the Islamists have chosen to use. And we've got to let them know it doesn't work. We're not going to even acknowledge these false accusations. You know, this is the way I've been for a while. I say, hey, think what you want to think. I know I'm not racist, but I don't have to prove it to you because you're a scumbag. You're using that to derail my thought process. So I won't prove you to be what you are. Somebody calls you a racist? Pfft, I get called a racist and white supremacist on a nightly basis on my radio show. Why? Because I say things like this. I do segments like this. I say, we as Americans, even when I say of all colors, we need to get together and fight together side by side to keep our country from being taken over. I'll say things like that and boom, white supremacists. And you know what? I either laugh at them or just block them when they send that stuff. It's like, all right, you're blocked. I don't even have time for you. You know, they used to say, you know, they would accuse you of being black, and the first thing you'd say, I mean, not being black, they accuse you of being racist against blacks. Wow, those were simpler times, weren't they? When that was the big social headbutting. And then you would go to take up for yourself and try to prove to them that you're not racist. And then what would you say? You'd say, oh, I'm not racist. I have a lot of black friends. A lot of my friends are black. Oh, okay. Yeah. So your best friends are black. Yeah. Okay. That's racist. That proves it right there. Or if you said, you're crazy. I'm not a racist. Uh-huh. Yeah. Denial is the sign. You are a racist. So it's just like they try to paint you into a corner, and then, you know, if you try to explain and all that, because you're dealing with stupid people, dishonest people who would do that to you with no evidence. So you just say, who cares? Get out of my way. I'm not wasting my time explaining myself to you. Go kick rocks. But more people have to start speaking out. Again, if you're an American, you love America. Now, I know over the past, years, The left has convinced a lot of black people that America has never been great, and because of slavery, that America's rotten and America's not for black people and all that. But if you just stop and think about that, where else would any people live in the world as well as we live in America? If you're not free and this country isn't great, how would you be allowed to criticize it and its leaders? How would you be allowed as just a common citizen to call the president a racist and a white supremacist without being thrown in prison for the rest of your life or killed? How would you be able to do the things that you enjoy doing? Like watching sports, having cookouts, buying a new car, doing as much or as little as you want to do in this world. But again, the Marxists in this country are trying to weaponize emotions as much as possible. And it's gotten us nowhere but backwards. So, it's my hope that, one day all of the quote unquote marginalized people, as the professional Democrats have defined them, will wake up and realize that the Democrats are using them. And that would be the end of the Democrat Party. And they know it. Okay. Hang on. There's more coming up. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is the podcast only version of the TJ Ritchie Show. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. The reason I'm not on the radio, once again, is they've rudely interrupted my show for some sort of sports event, some kind of ball game. Okay, so we're talking about how we're going to have to put down our differences as Americans in order to stop the takeover of the country by people who are not interested in living freely. They're Islamists from the third world, Middle East, and they want to turn America into where they came from with Sharia law and the whole thing. So, one of the things that has gotten us where we are with the races, not battling each other. It's like white people, for the most part, the true white supremacy and all of that stuff has been done away with. I mean, the KKK is not a factor anymore in political things and all, which, by the way, the KKK was invented by the Democrat Party. It was the enforcement wing of the Democrat Party when it was created in the United States. All of the racism against black people and other minority groups in this country, it's all been on the Democrat side, every bit of it. But even Malcolm X, and I don't know everything about Malcolm X, but I kind of think that he wasn't that big of a fan of white people in general. But I've played the clip many times on my show of Malcolm X talking about the most dangerous thing to black people is the white liberal. And there's a young black woman I found this video online of, and she's explaining, and it's refreshing to hear it coming from a young person, because that, the whole thing about Malcolm X, we old school conservatives have heard that for many years. We've known about that, but hearing a young person describe it is refreshing. So listen.
Stop going to white liberals for money and then complaining about their power. Malcolm X said the white liberal is the worst enemy to America and the worst enemy to the black man. The white liberal's purpose is to perpetuate a system that will keep the black man dependent on the white liberal. Because the truth is, you can't be dependent and free at the same time. And that's the part nobody wants to say out loud, because once they control the way you think and what you depend on, they don't need chains anymore. But for just a minute, step outside of it. I challenge you. Let's do a little thought exercise. Look at this critically, not emotionally. That's where real freedom starts. Because the more you're emotionally attached to your race, the easier it is to control you. It's realizing we've confused education with indoctrination. The idea that we're inferior and therefore we must receive. That's the last stage of colonization, people. The last chain left on our minds, the insistence that we're inferior. Shelby Seal said inferiority was established through white superiority, and that white guilt has infantilized black America, and it's allowed white liberals to act as our caretakers rather than our equals. And the more we tell white people they need to give in order to be racist, the more we'll receive and the more we'll depend, and the more we'll reinforce the same lie that we're inferior. And it'll never stop. Because dependency isn't progress, it's slavery dressed up as compassion.
So, you know, you listen to that and go, well, TJ, the realist Ritchie, you say that stuff all the time. Well, I do. But that's why I said it's refreshing and encouraging to hear a young person say that. If you're not familiar with Dr. Shelby Steele, whom she referenced, you should be. He wrote a book called White Guilt. And it's brilliant and very informative. He's biracial, and in the 60s he was a radical. I think maybe even a member of the Black Panthers, communists, and he had an awakening one day. And you know, there are a lot of the intellectuals on our team who were like that. Dr. Thomas Sowell was also, when he was young, he was on that side. And then he woke up one day. But the professional Democrats, they are the ones who prey upon minorities. And let's just use black people as a generalization here. They prey upon black people because that's how it started. And they've gotten this message into the heads of black people over the decades that you will completely fail without us if you don't vote for us. Those Republicans are racist, and they want to take away what little bit you have. They want to starve your kids. They do the same stuff today. Look at them with the EBT and the SNAP benefit, all that stuff. Starving babies. That's been their go-to since the 60s, since Lyndon Johnson, that disgusting racist SOB. And you prey upon people's emotions. You keep them in the dark. Don't ever let them know the truth. Tell them whatever the other side is saying is a bunch of lies. You can't believe it. You can't believe it. Then you pull in leaders of your race and, you know, throw them some breadcrumbs and say, we'll give you a seat at the table if you'll go out and do our message for us. And then you have, you know, just like an example, Al Sharpton, he's one. Go out, deliver this message. A lot of these big, wealthy black preachers, these pastors like Jamal Bryant, same thing. He's delivering a message to keep black people under control so they don't start asking questions, get the truth, and move over to the Republican side of things. It's all just a wicked game they've played with people's lives for so long. Okay, so you got that. That is the manipulation, brainwashing side of it. And then you have the non-professional Democrats, the white liberal to what she's talking about, Malcolm X referring to, the white liberal is where the white guilt comes from. Okay, so they feel like black people are inferior and that they can't do things on their own. And so you've got to have a helping hand from mighty whitey. I am reaching down to help the downtrodden black person. They can't do it without me. Where would you be without me and my compassion? And it's a selfish desire to gain moral authority. The white liberal is in constant search of moral authority. Why do you think they cover their damn cars and bumper stickers with all these political messages on them? They will say, I matter. Look how involved I am. Look how compassionate I am. Me. When it comes down to it, the white liberals don't really care about the black people. They care about how the black people are going to make them look. You see, like, it's going to make me feel better if I help you, because that's proving to everybody else that I'm a good white person. I've got all of this, and yet I still help the downtrodden black person. So that's all kind of a narcissistic quest that the white liberal is on. So the professional commucrats prey upon the emotions of black people, and they prey upon the emotions of the white liberal. So the white liberal will step in line and bridge that gap between the professional Democrat, commucrat, and the black people. And the whole thing is racist. You see, the definition of racist is someone who believes that by birth their race is superior to other races. It doesn't mean you told an offensive joke. It means that you think that by birth you're more superior than another race. Telling offensive jokes or having negative thoughts about a race here or there is bigotry. But you see, the communists always want to change the language. That's why abortion is not abortion. It's reproductive health care. Reproductive health care. So they're always trying to change the language in that way. But how do we get the message that she has gotten as a young black woman to thousands and thousands of other people that they will believe? Now, when I'm talking about getting called a white supremacist all the time and a racist and all, most of the time that's coming from white people. Again, with their white guilt, making themselves feel better, like he's saying something that's not just completely pitying black people or championing them. So he's a racist and I'm going to tell him he's a racist. So then now I have moral authority. But you're believing that black people can't speak for themselves and they can't do things on their own without your help because you're white. So that's the racism. So, as much as white liberals call me names like that, it pales in comparison to the names that black conservatives get called by black people and white people. You see all of that bull crap about, I'm not racist. I'm a white liberal, mighty whitey liberal, blah, 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 blah. That goes out the window when a black person declares that they are conservative and has conservative views. Because then the white liberal will say and do so many bigoted things against a black conservative is not even close to being funny. But black people calling black conservatives names is, and then they'll say things like that disgusting D.L. Hughley talking about Officer Brandon Tatum, who is a black conservative, does a podcast, radio show, and all that, saying that he is just a puppet. We played the clips the other night on the radio show. He's a puppet because the MAGA pulling his strings and telling him what to do, and he's a coward. What do you mean? A black man getting on declaring conservative views is way more courageous than D.L. Hughley getting on radio and social media and towing the line for the Democrats. Because he's not going to get nearly the attacks that a black conservative is going to get. They're all these Democrats are just so diabolical Democrat commucrats. It's just, they're sick. They're sick. And as soon as we can bond together to fight against the takeover of our country by these types of ideas. See, and these commucrats, they have no idea what is in store for them if these Islamists from the third world, if their plan goes the way they want it to, and they take over this country, those white liberal Democrats, and again, the black race hustler Democrats and all of them, they have no idea what's going to happen to them. They are going to be destroyed probably before conservatives will be. You see, because the ones trying to take over the country, the communist Islamists, they don't care what color you are. If you're not an extremist Muslim, you're gone. And they're going to laugh in the face of those who think that they got special privileges coming because they were supportive of it. No. As a matter of fact, I've got some stories that prove that point, that how stupid some of these leftists are, and they're just supporting this movement that would do away with them first. Okay, so we'll get into that coming up next. Hang on. Welcome back to the podcast-only version of the TJ Ritchie Show. I am TJ Ritchie, a.k.a. the Green-Eyed Patriot, a.k.a. Mr. Charmed and Dangerous. All right, so we're just talking about how these idiot, run-of-the-mill white liberals think that, by trying to gain moral authority over everybody, that they're going to be looked upon as champions to the downtrodden, which is people who are in minority groups. And one of those is the person in the United States, the extreme Islamists, communists from the third world in the Middle East or Africa. Like they're going to be, thrown up as champions on the shoulders of these people, not realizing, because they're stupid, that they're going to be the first ones if this country ever turns to Sharia law. Okay, here's a perfect example. Cynthia Nixon is one of the Sex and the City women. She's the least attractive of any of them, and the most miserable curmudgeon of all of them. She she is gay, and she has started a rally with a group that she created, I guess, called Gays for Zoran. This is from Breitbart. HBO's Sex and the City star Cynthia Nixon spoke at a Gays for Zoran rally where she encouraged members of the LGBTQ community to campaign for Democrat Socialist New York City mayoral frontrunner Zoran Mamdani, despite him having recently met with a Ugandan official who has pushed a law to jail gays for life. Gays for Zoran. Sign up with them. Canvass in your neighborhood. Door knock. Tell people from the heart why you are voting for Zoran and why you think they should too, Nixon declared. The video footage of Nixon making her remarks was posted on website for the group Gays for Zoran, which describes itself on Instagram as LGBTQ plus New Yorkers who, quote, are ready to elect Zoran Mamdani as our next mayor. I don't care whether it is a politician in U.S. America, whether he is an Islamist, or just a regular Muslim. If he says that he is fighting for LGBTQ rights and he is fighting to promote more prostitution by making it legal, somebody needs to ask him, well, when did the Muslim faith change to where you will support something like those two issues? Make him explain it. Did the Muslim faith change? Are the rules different now? Just like all these Democrat politicians who are Catholic and pro-abortion, how does that stack up? How does that work? You're either not true to your faith or you're not true. You're just a liar and you don't really believe what you're saying. You're against abortion, actually. Which one is it? Make them say, I'm going against my faith. But somebody like Mamdani, who is hell-bent on making more and more people his faith. The fact that he hates Jews, he hates Christians, he hates Buddhists, he hates every other religion but his, which, I mean, if you think that your faith is better than everybody else's, okay, fine. I happen to think that Christianity is the best faith. How do you know that? Because I'm a Christian. I could be any of the other faiths I wanted to be if I got a mind to, but I don't. So I think Christianity is the best. However, I'm not running around calling for a violent uprising to change. Let's say it would be like if I went over to Somalia and a bunch of Christians got on, one of our church buses and rode around Somalia, and said, armed with machine guns, you're going to be Christians from now on, or you'll be killed or thrown in prison. It's your choice. That's what he wants. He wants everybody to be Muslim. And he hangs around with these extremists. He was born in Uganda, holds dual citizenship, was recently photographed meeting with Rebecca Kadaja, a Ugandan official who has pushed anti-LGBT policies, including life imprisonment for gay people. She posted on X a picture of her and Horan. Delighted to meet with Zohran Mamdani, incoming mayor of New York City. Good luck in the next phase of elections. And there was the picture. He's smiling, that stupid smile, that fake smile he has. Who's going to ask him about that? Who's going to say, hey? Because I know that the people backing him, the big money Islamists who are backing him, are fine with his messaging. Whatever it takes to get control. Then they'll worry about who they're going to persecute. But make him say publicly, Muslims are fine with homosexuality now, or Muslims are fine with prostitution and women getting to be who they really are. Or make him say, no, Muslims are against that. All right, dude, you're on record here. You got to pick one or the other. Going against your faith, or are you lying? You don't really support these things. It's pretty obvious what's being done here. And these useful idiots like Cynthia Nixon and these other brain dead celebrities. No idea. No clue. You know why? Because they don't live in the real world. They don't live in the real world. They can run around doing whatever they want to do, saying whatever they can say to get attention and making it seem like they're all involved. We're involved. We are in the middle of the action, fighting for what's right. Meanwhile, they're making jackasses of themselves. And the Zohran Mamdanis behind the scenes are laughing at them. And they're probably saying, yeah, not only is she helping me get elected, she's helping, all these gays are helping me get elected so I can kill them one day or put them in prison for life. You know what? Think about how it would be if there were a prominent Republican politician and somebody unearthed a picture of him from this past summer, which is when that picture was taken with Mamdani, with a real white supremacist. What would the media be doing? What would all the Democrats be screaming? It wouldn't even have to be a white supremacist. It could have been this same woman from Uganda. Let's just pick a prominent conservative politician. Let's say Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz meets with this same Ugandan official who's pushing for the imprisonment of gay people and says that it would be a great Christmas gift if we could get it passed by Christmas. He meets with her. They take a picture where he's smiling in the picture, and she posts the same exact thing on her X account. What do you think would be happening? Ted Cruz would be crucified in the media and by professional Democrats. Which again proves that the Democrats don't really care about people. They don't care. They don't care about you. They're just a bunch of narcissists who don't have the physical, biological, mental capability of caring about anything but themselves. They're not just narcissists, like people throw that, oh, he's a narcissist. He talks about himself all the time. Or, oh, he's always just like thinking about himself. That's not a narcissist. A narcissist means that they don't have the ability to care about anything but themselves. And you think about these commie-crap politicians and everything. They're all narcissists. Whomever they claim to care about, whichever group it is, they don't really, because they'll throw them aside in a heartbeat. Just like the NAACP that we talked about the other night, endorsing the white woman in the Virginia governor's race over the black candidate, the black woman, because she is a conservative. She's a Republican. Race has to take a back seat to party. It's the way it is. And the NAACP of Virginia didn't bat an eye. Of course, we're going to endorse the white woman Democrat over the black woman lieutenant governor, veteran, intelligent, whole thing. They should be hoisting Winsome Sears on their shoulders as a champion for black people. So they should be so proud of her. She's so smart. She's so tough. She's so courageous. But they're not. They picked the old ugly white woman. That's just the way it is. It's the way it is. When it comes down to it, they don't care about your gayness. There's a gay conservative who's a podcaster and a journalist and everything. His name's Dave Rubin. He's really cool and handsome. They're not hoisting him on their shoulders as a champion for the gays. Doesn't matter whether he's gay or not. He stepped off the Democrat property. You see, it's that mentality that the professional Democrats have, that they own these people who they've deemed to be marginalized. Again, arrogance and narcissism. It's the worst. Okay, hang on. We got more coming up. All right, we're back. This is the TJ Ritchie Show, podcast version only. So don't say I'm not working for you. I mean, I could have just taken the night off. I could have been just trick-or-treating like crazy. But no, I have a responsibility to you, the TJ Ritchie family. So make sure you like and subscribe to all of the social medias and everything. I would appreciate that. I might end up one day making a nickel off of this podcast stuff. Just go to tjritchie.com and you can do that. I would be oh so grateful to you for doing that. Okay. Here we are with another example of how the commucrats on the left don't give a damn about you if you are in a marginalized group. They don't care. They do not care. Prime example. This is a story from Breitbart from yesterday, I believe, maybe 2 days ago. It reads, "Step aside, ladies. Women's fashion magazine Glamour UK has chosen a group of 9 men, so-called dolls, who identify as women for its Women of the Year magazine cover." So they have the Women of the Year edition of Glamour UK. to what? To celebrate women, right? And what do? They put a bunch of men pretending to be women on the cover. Does that sound like they care about women's rights and celebrating women, and they want women to be seen? You know, that's one of the funny ones on the left that they use, you know. I want to feel seen. Okay, who cares? My truth. I want to be able to tell my truth. I want to be seen. Get out of here. All right, so they're not seen. So the magazine celebrated as the dolls, a popular term transgender women use to refer to one another. Transgender women are men, by the way. Quote, as trans rights face increasing threat in the UK, Glamour honors 9 of the community's most groundbreaking voices at this year's Women of the Year Awards. The group is shown wearing T-shirts emblazoned with the trans activist slogan, "Protect the dolls. Protect the dolls." I just want to say, as a woman, as a doll, I want to be protected. So, if you would, protect the dolls. The men identifying as women include, and then it names them, like who gives a damn. While the choice will undoubtedly be hailed by radical trans activists everywhere, not everyone celebrated the honors. Harry Potter creator J.K. Rowling, who is a crazy leftist herself, but she's against the trans stuff, was appalled by the magazine's move to enshrine men as the Women of the Year. See, because she's a radical feminist. In being true to her radical feminist behavior, she's against men pretending to be women and getting treated like women and accepted as being women and celebrated over women. It only makes sense. If you are a radical feminist, you're not that big of a fan of men being celebrated in the world, why would you not be against men dressing as women, calling themselves women, and being celebrated? So it's not that J.K. Rowling is, seeing it our way by any means. Quote, I grew up in an era when mainstream women's magazines told girls they needed to be thinner and prettier. Now mainstream women's magazines tell girls that men are better women than they are. Exactly. Rowling was not alone in her condemnation of the magazine's decision to appoint 9 men as the Women of the Year. Okay. And then they have comments from other people, but it's just the way it is. They're so stupid. Just like AOC, Sandy Cortez, and all of those witches on the left lashing out at Riley Gaines all the time because she says that women swimmers don't need to be competing against men swimmers. And what do? They think it's funny because then they'll tell her she should have been a faster swimmer. Don't be mad because you don't swim fast enough. It wasn't that at all. And I don't know. Sandy Cortez may be stupid enough to believe that. But you see, they're feminists, women's rights, all this stuff. But they use it as a tool. As a weapon. They're not true about it. They're not truly in favor of women being celebrated. If a man can help them more, which they believe they can help them more politically. You see, they have no morals, no scruples. Hell, nobody likes a feminist, But at least J.K. Rowling is sticking true to her beliefs. She's not a hypocrite. I have another sound bite for you here. A little thing I found, and it's just another example of how destructive the left is in playing these games by manipulating and indoctrinating innocent people into believing lies. There's a journalist. His name is James Klug, I think is how you pronounce it. He's a brave fella. He goes out into the belly of the beast all the time and talks to these people in the streets. And he is this one is not that contentious, but she is appears to be a lady of Mexican descent. She's holding a chihuahua, and the chihuahua is dressed in some sort of a crazy looking outfit with headpiece in and wearing little round John Lennon glasses. I don't know why you would dress your chihuahua like that, but what I'm saying is that right away you can see that she's kind of off her rocker. And he just approaches her and interviews her on the street. And I just listen to how completely, totally wrong she is about these things that she's so confident about knowing. You know, she's confident with this knowledge that she's spewing. Listen.
Now, walking around while brown is affecting me because even though I am here legally, at any moment they can snatch me up.
If you're here legally, they can't deport you.
Actually, but if they're racist and they just want to just tie me up for no reason, they can't.
I don't think there's evidence of that happening widespread.
Oh, yes, there is. There's the Proud Boys.
There's people. The Proud Boys.
Yeah, you haven't heard of the Proud Boys?
The Proud Boys are detaining Mexicans.
Are detaining Mexicans? Yes. Most of these bounty hunters that are kidnapping us are
Proud Boys?
white supremacists. Yes.
That's not good.
They would love to take me down. They would love to throw me on the floor. That would make them so happy. No, it's not good, but that's what would make them happy. So yeah, if it could happen to me.
We got to watch out for those Proud Boys, man.
Well, luckily I know how to fight.
What in the hell is she talking about? She didn't hit on anything that was true in that. Walking around when brown is dangerous. Where do you think she got that? She's probably a citizen, not even just legal. She's probably a citizen. And the professional Democrats have gotten her believing, and I'm sure everybody around her in the neighborhood or whoever she hangs out with believes the same thing. They probably sit around talking about it all the time, that walking around when brown is going to get you deported, kidnapped, and deported. Now, I haven't heard anything about the Proud Boys in a long time. What the hell was that? And I don't know anything really about the Proud Boys to begin with. From what I understand, it's an organization that was created to bring back masculinity and things like that. And then a lot of conservatives had issue with them because they were, considered them to be extremists or whatever. I don't know. I don't know one way or the other. I honestly don't. Anything about the Proud Boys. But I know they're not detaining Mexicans and deporting them. I know that for a fact. Oh. Now, if it wasn't so dangerous, it would be, I'd feel sorry for her, which I still do to a certain extent, the way the Democrats play with these people's minds, play with their emotions and get them, walking around in fear like that. Like she's just going to get snatched up. Like that cockroach mayor of Chicago Brandon Johnson. I saw a story about him the other day. He's saying that the Trump administration is zip tying babies and hauling them away. And I think he said zip tying black babies in Chicago and hauling them away. Now that's desperate. And we talk about it all the time, how great it is that black people in Chicago have been on to him and the Democrat Party, and how they have cast aside black voters in favor of these illegal aliens. So I guess he's just doing anything he can, saying anything he can to try to get black people back on his side. Just a rotten piece of crap of a person, just a cockroach. You ever notice when somebody's asking him a question, or when he's not talking, he's just staring straight ahead with this look on his face like, I'm so tough, I'm just going to glare straight forward while you're asking me a question. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to breathe. I'm just going to stand here. When you finish your question, then I will acknowledge you. I mean, he thinks he's hard, or he's trying to act hard, but he's not. He's soft. He's a little Urkel kind of guy, trying to act like, Louis Farrakhan or somebody. He's a joke. Yet, if one person believes his rhetoric, it's dangerous. By any means necessary is what the Democrat Party is doing now, because they're getting exposed more and more every day for who they really are, which is a bunch of communists. A bunch of lying, shady Marxists. So they're trying to gain favor with their, voters again by any means necessary. And it always goes back to lying in some way that's going to prey upon people's emotions. Not facts, not reality, but their emotions. And there's no two ways about it. These people are deranged. Absolutely deranged. And it would be so sweet if enough people in this country who have been pitted against each other would come together and oust all of those Marxists in the Democrat Party. Just vote them into oblivion. And then just see where they go next. What would the plan be? Now remember, anything that's good for the Democrat Party has to be bad for America. The Democrat Party ceases to exist when America is thriving completely. In order for the Democrat Party to advance, the country has to be in bad shape. America has to fail for the Democrats to excel. They never ever really want the best thing for the country. They want the worst thing for the country because they need a huge voting block of people with a grievance. A happy citizenry in the United States is bad for the Democrats. That's why they're always out doom and gloom, taking a message of America's rotten, America's terrible. This is an awful country. Slavery is still in existence. We've got a long way to go before we're a fair nation, and all of that stuff. And I know a lot of times I get looked upon as being too simplistic, or not delving deeply into the topics and the research and all of that. It's because I don't have to. I don't have to. I don't have to research a candidate in 2025 to know whether or not I'm going to vote for them. If there are two candidates in a race, one's a Republican, one's a Democrat, I'm voting for the Republican. Because professional Democrats in 2025 are all shady and out to do the country no good. Well, I vote for the man, not the party. Well, I do too. I do too. Because if a man were worthy of my vote, he wouldn't be a Democrat. Because of everything the Democrat Party stands for, because of everything the Democrat Party has done, because of the mission of the Democrat Party, anybody with any level of scruples or morality or pride for the country, love for the country, would not associate him or herself with that destructive anti-American party that is now led by Marxists. I mean, who needs a political science course to figure that out? Not me. Not I. I'll tell you that. All right, that's it for the podcast only version for today. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, if I'm rudely interrupted by ball games and such, I will be making up for it by doing podcasts, even if there's not a radio show that day. All right? Thanks. God loves you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. I'll talk to you later.